Within a few more days, we will have the US election, and there are a lot of things about this election that I really want to discuss. First, let's talk about Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala Harris is basically a competent woman. I believe that she can definitely make a good president. But basically, one thing is for certain, which is that many Arab Americans would not vote for any of the candidates realistically, and if they had to choose one, they would definitely not go with Donald Trump because he's a hardliner Israel supporter. But the whole US foreign policy is against Arab Americans by default anyway, so basically, even Kamala Harris is not a good choice for Arab Americans. Now let's talk about who is Kamala Harris trying to appeal to. So Kamala Harris is trying to appeal to black people by basically supporting a lot of movements associated with black people. She's also trying to appeal to blue collar workers, and that might actually work for her. She might get the votes of those people, but will black people alone make Kamala Harris the president of the United States of America? Well, I don't know that. There are solid chances she might become the president, but there are also some key points where she's lacking. For example, whether we like it or not, American foreign policy always favors Israel. And Donald Trump is a lot more vocal about his support for Israel than Kamala Harris. So basically, Jewish Americans would definitely vote for Donald Trump. That's a certainty. And it feels like Donald Trump is going to basically target Jewish American voters the most here. And Israel is a bit personal for Donald Trump because his daughter Ivanka Trump married a Jewish person and is now Jewish herself. So it's a family matter as well as a political matter for him. When it comes to foreign policy, Donald Trump's views actually align with the foreign policy the best because he's a vocal supporter of Israel, and because unlike Kamala Harris, who has basically scaled back on her Israel support for a little bit to appeal to Arab Americans, Donald Trump has not done that. So basically, Donald Trump will appeal to your average American and your average Jewish American the best, basically. And Kamala Harris will basically appeal to blacks and probably the Mexicans as well. And most Arab Americans would also vote for Kamala Harris, so there's a good chance of either of them becoming president. But whoever becomes president needs to stop a war here, so it's basically gonna be focusing on American foreign policy the most when it comes to this time. They're going to focus on foreign policy. And if you strictly focus on American foreign policy, then Donald Trump is the best for that because he has been a lot more vocal about support he has for various steps in the American foreign policy than Kamala Harris. And why do I say that it would focus on foreign policy? Well, that's because of the war that's going since October 7th when Hamas attacked Israel and killed 1,400 people. Actually 1,200, and basically they took more than 200 hostages. Out of those 200 plus hostages, many have been killed in Gaza and only about 65 of them remain. That's because 100 hostages were returned, 100 or so, and 101 were left in Gaza. Out of them, 65 are alive now. So whoever becomes US president needs to basically try to solve this conflict one way or another by pressurizing Israel to focus on the hostages.